is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. That is Manny Navarro. How are you doing, my brother?
Doing good, just trying to stay dry, man. I'm worried about this the amount of inches of rainfall we're gonna have here because I got a pool in the backyard. It's already kind of overflowing just based on how much rain we've got in the last 24 hours, and I know there's a lot more coming. So
yeah, no, I'm with you there. And by the way, call Tommie B. Butts Jr. Enterprises.com if you got some roof issues now with all those leaks. Okay, so they'll take care of you just in case if you do have the leaks. By the way, do we know because if they canceled the baseball games today, there's no way you have them tomorrow, right? Because tomorrow's going to be it's actually going to get progressively worse as the day goes on, and into tomorrow it'll be pretty bad. Have they said when they're rescheduling them? Is this a Sunday or a Monday thing, or what's the deal?
right now they have it tentatively scheduled for tomorrow at noon. Now, obviously, they could always push it back, right? And continue to push it back.
They're going to do. Yeah, that's right. Why not reschedule it? Maybe we can get it off if we can. Because I'm thinking, dude, you're in a storm and everybody's walking around with lightning rods.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, no. Wooden bats is different,
Right.
But you're pinging all over the place. Yeah, this is definitely one sport you want to make sure there's no lightning in the area. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could start with a 12, say 12 o'clock tomorrow, but let's say this thing goes through or it heads further north. You could, maybe you start at 3 o'clock instead of 12. You just keep pushing back,
Right. At least you have something to work with just in case you can get off. Because supposedly, I mean, I'm not a
meteorologist.
Yeah. Although my little dog has become a Doppler, I now know when a system is coming. One of my little dogs now starts shaking.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's amazing, right?
Yeah, he now starts getting a little nervous, and when you grab him, you're like, Ollie, what's up? And sure enough, dude, you start hearing rumblings in the distance, and then rain comes like 20 minutes later, and you're like, holy crap, this dog's a Doppler now. It's like,
right.
Like, yeah, dogs are already amazing as like alarms. Like you get to like my sidewalk, and my little dogs already know you're there. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. But now it's like I've got one that's like a Doppler now, and so
that's great. Yeah. That's great. You don't even need to turn on the TV. You know when it's coming.
No, although it's heartbreaking because you got to grab the dog and just hold him while the whole storm's going by because the poor dog's nervous about that. It's like, yo, it's just rain, bro. Relax. And he's just like freaking out on me. So, by the way, again, just congratulations to Gino, man. What he did this year, I know where we grew up with like national titles and going to the World Series was like, it was a rite of passage.
Yep,
for us, back in those days. But we change with the times. We understand how much more difficult it is now than it used to be. And to Gino's done a really nice job of building this thing back up again. You got to give him a lot of love, not just for making it, but building, like, the program's headed in the right direction again now.
Yeah, and that's the only way you can get this thing rolling is by getting some level of consistency, and they've been so inconsistent for a while. The last couple of years under Jim Morris was a struggle, and Gino, he was always the big time recruiter for them in terms of getting some of these elite players, even while 3 was in charge of the program. So I think it's not easy. I don't think the days of them making it to Omaha on a regular basis are going to probably come back just because they're that expensive private school with the big time tuition. But I think certainly they can get to the regionals consistently. There's enough talent in this area where if they can have the kind of season like this year, host a regional, and then be in position to host the super regional instead of having to go on the road, then you give yourself a really good chance. And having home field advantage is important in these college baseball regionals.
Yeah, man. It's just really good stuff that they've been able to accomplish this year. Just really, really, really proud of the Canes baseball program. All right, let's get to football. Obviously, which is the master of the domain. What's the latest on the transfer portal NIL side? Is there anything brewing?
Well, I finally got a chance to talk to Mario after 3 weeks of texting back and forth that we were going to talk. I got to talk to him on Wednesday for our State of the Program series on Miami, which came out this morning, by the way. If the listeners want to check it out and sign up for the Athletic, it's we do one in all the major Power 5 programs, actually all the Power 5 programs, and then some of the Group of 5 schools. So Miami's came out today, and my thought process with Mario is, this dude is never going to stop looking for help. And obviously, I think receiver is one of those positions where they went out, they tried to get Jordan Addison. I think they certainly looked at some other options and still would like to give Tyler Van Dyke that reliable deep threat. Not that one of the guys on this roster can't develop into a reliable deep threat, but in today's college football world where you can go into free agency, right, and find guys,
Right.
I think they're open to it. I think they're open to taking whatever help they can get at that position if it's the right kind of fit and the right kind of player. So, and I would say the same probably with offensive line.
Names.
Well, no, there right now there really isn't. I mean, that's the problem with this is.
So are we announcing to the college football world the Canes are looking for a wide receiver?
Yes, that's what we're doing.
And so we're trying to see if somebody shakes from the trees and says, me. I'm not really happy here at Michigan. You got my guy Josh over there. I want to go join him. So that's what we're hoping for, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is they've kicked all the trees of available players, right? I think they've looked at options. There still are some guys out there, especially in the offensive line, because they have 4 guys.
Well, wait a minute. What's the window deal? Because you gave us. No, I forgot the dates now.
Right, but if there's grad transfers, that's the wrinkle here. The wrinkle is if these kids graduate over the summer or just graduate in the spring, they can leave as grad transfers. This is just for underclassmen. The deadline was May 1 for underclassmen.
Okay.
But if you're a grad transfer and you're like, I went through spring football, don't really like my position here. So that's essentially who they're calling for. That's the wrinkle to this whole thing.
Right.
But yes, you're right. Underclassmen wise, there's not. I think they've kicked every rock, every tree, and let's see what shakes out.
So we're looking for KJ Osborne and Charleston Rambo all over again.
Pretty much, yeah. But Charleston Rambo was an underclassman when he left. So,
no, but I mean, we only had him for a year, right?
Right. Yeah. It's a 1 year. It's a 1 year guy. Exactly.
Right. That's what I mean.
I
we're
think
looking for a guy to transfer for 1 year in here.
Correct. And so I think that and I would say offensive line too, because they've got 4 guys that I think they really like as far as starters. And Mario wants to just bring in a whole lot of competition and just and so there's some guys that are out there still in terms of offensive line that they could potentially take. So that's a transfer portal. Everything else recruiting wise, that's starting this weekend. They've got I think 24 or 25 visitors already lined up for this month of June, official visitors. And they're going to be busy, man. He's got a bunch of camps. I know he's supposed to have one this weekend or today with special teamers. And basically, like he told me, really a lot of this is for the kids to come check out who the coaches are, to get to know Miami's coaches, to get to see the new faces in person and meet them and feel, make sort of a bond with the coaches that are here. So these little camps that he's going to run here all the way up through the last weekend of June with the Legends Camp are important for bonding and building. But the reality is, man, like I went back and I researched Mario's classes, his 4 classes at Oregon. I mean, this guy signed so many 4- and 5-star guys. And yet, as you know, even with all these recruiting rankings and all these elite kids that they get, it's like the batting percentage, right, of who turns out to be a home run and who turns out to be like we always look at it in a vacuum, right, year to year to year. Well, what is this class ranked year to year? Like if you just take the whole picture, right, of the 4 years of the amount of work that you put into recruiting to build a team, like there's so many misses, man. There's so many kids that just don't.
What wasn't Tate Martell like a 4 or 5-star?
Right. But I'm saying between
Miami go for 10 yards.
But I'm saying,
it's just but you and I have had this conversation forever.
Right.
This is why I never get too high on all this rating system, because
Right.
I think it's impossible to put a rating system on these high school kids. And most of these people that do the recruiting stuff, they don't watch these kids every moment and they don't measure on what they're playing against or whatever. Like Sean Taylor was a monster, but dude, Sean Taylor could not really be measured when he was playing in high school because he was playing against people that didn't belong anywhere near where he was. In wasn't he a 3A or something like that? Wasn't
Yeah,
that
he
school?
was Gulliver was a 2A school at the
Gulliver
time.
2A. My
Yeah.
God, 2A. I thought it was 3A. Like, that's Sean Taylor, bro. That's like
Yep.
an NFL Hall of Fame talent. And it's hard to measure some of this stuff. To me, that this is why you're going to miss a ton on all those guys. And look, with all those 4 or 5 stars he signed at Oregon, he wasn't winning a national title and he wasn't beating anybody in the SEC. You know what
Well,
I mean?
that's what I was gonna say is, one thing Mario and I talked about, and this will be something I write about here in the week ahead, but essentially, like, it takes time to kind of come in. Like, even though he's always recruited Florida and has connections here, he was gone for 4 years on the West Coast. And
Yeah.
he spent a lot of these first 6 months just sort of reestablishing relationships with the guys that he has here, that he's known here, and sort of fixing things, that may have gone wrong with Manny Diaz and the previous staff. He talked about how he was basically cherry picking from the West Coast. And if you look at what he did over there, his first 2 recruiting classes, yes, he got Kayvon Thibodeau and Panay Sewell. He's got 2 first rounders. Javon Holland was part of his first, real recruiting class. But there's so many players that just didn't pan out his first 2 years. And Mario
It's
talked about
normal.
that. Like,
It's
it
normal.
takes, it's almost like until you get to that 3rd year is when you really have enough time to recruit these kids for 2 years and have a real chance of getting those elite players. And so he didn't
And
have
you
a
know
lot
what?
of.
In a twisted way, I hate to say this because it doesn't really make sense, but
Mhm.
it's kind of the facts. You're probably going to get a different player coming to Miami than they are to Oregon.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You're
absolutely.
you're or
1,000%.
Alabama or LSU or Ohio State than they do
Yeah.
to Oregon. I just think you might get more of the guy that has a little bit more of an edge
Oh,
coming
absolutely.
here than maybe you might get the more cerebral, more laid back guy out west. But to Alabama or to Florida State or Miami or to Ohio State, I think you're going to get that guy with a little bit more of an edge.
Yeah, I think 1,000%. But again, like, I know everybody's expecting him to come in here, and I think with the staff I think the one thing we're going to see right away, is that they're going to be much more well coached by position. Like, just
For
guys are
sure.
going to be doing their jobs a lot
I
better, which
expect that.
that alone will make them better than 7. That'll get them from 7-5 to 10
Yes.
wins in my mind. The question is, when do you get the talent to the level that you need to get to be Alabama, to be Ohio State? And Mario at Oregon, even with the success he had, turning 4-8, which is what he inherited, right? 4-8 to 2 Rose Bowls and 2 Pac-12 titles. It's like, yes, he had a couple first-round picks, but a lot of those first couple recruiting classes, you go back and look, there's a lot of swings and misses. There's maybe 5 or 6 guys in each of those classes that turned out to be something.
Just took over
And
the program, bro. He's just new at the whole thing. That's part
yeah,
of the adjustment, man.
yeah.
Go start any new business. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna make a bunch of mistakes. That's just the way it goes, man. You live and
Right.
learn, and this was his first time leading a big time program. You live and learn, and that's the good thing for us. Whatever he learned at FIU, Alabama, and Oregon, Miami's going to benefit from all of that because he's going to make less of those kind of mistakes here.
Yeah. And
Good
and
thing.
and I think he certainly has built his name up enough now,
Yeah.
where these kids, just out of knowing what he's done right at Oregon, knowing he had success at Alabama and helped bring a bunch of great players to Alabama, that they're going to buy in. And so he thinks they're going to have a ridiculously good recruiting class this year. But again, it's like, you study this stuff and you're like, okay, how long did it take him to really get it going at Oregon? Just interesting to me, all that kind of stuff, because we all just say, oh, he's a phenomenal recruiter, he'll flip the switch. No, it takes time at every program to kind of really settle in and get the kind of players that you want. If you look at his last 2 recruiting classes at Oregon, everybody talks about, oh, Mario didn't win enough at Oregon, right? The Oregon fans are complaining. It's like, dude, he set up Dan Land. There are some really good players at Oregon
Yeah,
right now.
no, he won there. Now, did he win big? No, not yet, but that was he was on his way to doing something like that. Yeah, of course. It's what listen, this past year losing to Utah twice, I'm sure that's something that's stuck in their craw. That was
Oh, absolutely.
that was a disappointment for him this year. There's no
It
doubt.
was, but he still won a lot of games, and he
Yeah.
still got to the Pac-12 championship game. Miami's done that once
Yep. Yeah.
since they came to the ACC.
They're not doing that here. So yeah, he's got to get them. And listen, in the end, he left them way better than what they were, and so
Oh yeah.
it's up to the next guy now to pick up there and keep ascending. And that'll be interesting to see if the next guy can maintain it or make it better, or does it take a step back or two? And then those Oregon fans are going to regret, every moment of it. But that's the way it goes. All right, what are you working in the Athletics so folks can check you out?
Well, I had promised that feature on one of the 3 visitors this weekend, Ola Salinen. That'll finally be coming out tomorrow. I mentioned the story at talking to Mario about recruiting and roster building. We talked a lot about philosophy and stuff like that. That'll be coming out next week. And then I'm going to Vegas next week for 5 days. I'll be out there for the 7-on-7, OT 7-on-7, an event being put on by Cam Newton. You have 2 Miami teams, the 2 best 7-on-7 teams here in South Florida. That have a bunch of elite South Florida players and national players. They're going to be out there competing in that thing. So I'll be out there reporting from that Thursday and Friday next week. And then I think the championship or the playoff round is Sunday. So I'll be out there from that. And then other than that, man, I'll be, just cranking out, man. I spent a lot of time in the lab doing homework. Oh, and I feel like that's the best. When I come on, my best stuff is when I have time to research. So I'll have a lot of that stuff coming in the weeks ahead.
All right. I like it. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro and subscribe to The Athletic and support Manny and all the great journalists that cover all sports locally, nationally, and even internationally there at The Athletic. Manny, as always, thank you, my brother. Stay dry this weekend. We'll catch up next week.
All right, brother. Take care.
Got it. There you go. Manny Navarro and our Canes wear Miami Hurricanes report.